as always, Saturday at the same time. And if you've got any questions or anything of that nature, then please write them down in the appropriate place. And what I'm going to do today is I'm going to talk about. Sorry, I'm what I'm going to do today. Getting my I can see when people send questions. I've got the computer up, and so I'm filming via the telephone, and I'm seeing questions via the computer. So what I wanted to talk about today is I've got a question about how much does it cost to live in a motorhome, and I have actually answered this question in the past, and I've tried to give answers to this, but I'll obviously I'll have to try again. And so the question about how much it costs is far more actually difficult than it may initially seem. So rather than do a business plan, I'm going to have to make some assumptions. But if you do a business plan, you never make assumptions of this type. And the first assumption I'm going to make is that you already have a van, and that van is equipped with enough solar to generate electricity for your internal use. So but if you were to do a proper business plan, you would not include that, and you would have to include things such as interest payments and repayments with interest on the van, and whatever the write-off period of that is. But we're not doing a business lesson here, we're doing a talk about motorhome. So if you take your motorhome to be something like a house, because that's what it is, and then let's have a look at some of the costs you have in a house, and compare them to a motorhome. Well, the first thing that strikes me is let's have a look at some of the things you have to pay all the time. So if you've got to pay rent, or you've got to pay for a mortgage, that would be the first thing. So I've got to make the next assumption is that you already own a house, and therefore we're not actually going to deal with these things, such as because the rent or your mortgage is taken up by the van payments. So now it's getting really very, very vague. Okay, so what about other things you have to pay for? Well, you have to pay property tax in most places in the world, and the property tax is actually replaced, as far as the motorhome's concerned, by a tax on the use of the road. So whatever your road tax is, in most countries you have to pay a road tax, and that varies from country to country. So but that's the first thing. But what I can say is that the road tax is usually, in fact, just about every case I can think of except for Italy, it's a fraction of what your property taxes would be. So there is a winner to start off with. So that's the first thing. Next thing is, as far as your house is concerned, you've got to pay for maintenance, and so therefore you will need things such as getting your repairs to your roof, or this type of thing. So or what have you. Well, you get these in the van as well, and thing is, again, once more, in my experience, these costs again are much smaller in a motorhome than they are to a home. So if you've either sold your house and moved into the van, or if you've rented out your house, or you're giving it to your kids or something like that, then those costs will drop. Right, next thing you've got is, obviously your house stands in one position, but you will have to pay for where you are going to. So this really should be included in the rent. And so your rent now is your campsite costs. So how much the campsite cost? Well, the thing is that they cost a lot. Now, I've seen on fora people complaining having to pay such as £100 a night on a campsite. Well, I understand the campsites, they lost a huge amount of revenue and they're trying to get it back. So if you don't like the cost, then you go somewhere else. You know, I don't go to the the Four Seasons or the Sheraton, and then demand to pay for the same cost as a youth hostel. Well, you may be saying on the campsite you're getting youth hostel at Sheraton prices. That may be the case. Well, you just have to go somewhere else. So but this is that is a major cost, and and I think really one has to. I mean, I do a lot of camping off the grid, but you have to go from time to time for the certain things you must do. Sometimes it might be just to get water. It might be to actually dump your water. Sometimes it's difficult to find somewhere to do that. It could be that you need to do your washing, and we have another thing now, use of laundrettes and things like this. That does, I think it costs more than using a washing machine. Oh, that's an interesting thing. I was going to say that costs a lot more to use the laundrette, but maybe it doesn't. I know, well, maybe I will normally, in my own case, I'll take a pile of stuff and I'll spend the day doing it, and I'll end up about 15 euros poorer for it. But then again, you know, it's like a pile of stuff, and it's taken me about a month to accumulate. Or maybe I'm exaggerating, 15, maybe 20. But anyway, okay, there is that cost. Now the thing is, obviously, with the washing machine at home, okay, it's the cost of the how much it costs to actually pay for the machine. So just if I could just say a few words. Annie's left, so thanks to Annie. Clive asks me how it's going at my end. Well, here you can see it's a bit sunnier today, but you can also see I've got 3 layers of clothing on. So I can't say it's particularly warmer, but tomorrow 27 degrees. So that seems great. And Wojtek says, hello, nice talk. Now, Wojtek, write down where you are, because I'm in Łódź right now. Right, so there you are. Right, coming back to the washing machine. Now, there's another thing, though, which really does cost a fortune, which I haven't touched on yet, and that is heating. And unless you're lucky enough to have a electric supply, or then this, in the depths of winter, you really do need to think of the cost of this. Now, in my experience, the coldest, well, the coldest was this year, but 4 years ago I was out with a Hymer van, which I've talked about several times in the past. It was -17. In 1 week I got through an entire gas bottle, but I don't know how full that bottle was before I got my hands on it. So that's difficult to say. But one thing it is if you're using just gas, then you've got to be on the move, because you have to change a gas thing. So either you go to a campsite where you can change the gas bottles over, because many campsites, of course, do sell gas. I mean, there's one I even know where they've even got a filler via a petrol pump. But other than that, you're on electric, and electricity does tend to cost 2.5 to 3 times more on a campsite. So there is a significant cost, so there you'd have to factor that in. The average cost, I would say, for campsites is around 20 to 30 euros a night, and many of them aren't home. The thing is, if you go somewhere though, and you went up to the campsite owner and you said, I want to stay here, because it's going to be cold, I want to stay here for a month, and I'm not going to pay you 20 euros times 30, 600. I'm not going to pay you 600. I'll give you 300. And I bet the campsite owner would take it. I mean, this is what negotiation, this is what the capitalist society is all about. Maybe they accept it, maybe they wouldn't. I don't know. Or alternative, but in any case, negotiate. That's the way to do it. Okay, right. So next thing, food. Well, food costs the same, actually, largely. There are some countries where food costs a lot more than others. In Italy, for example, the food costs a fortune. And I would say, in my experience of the other three, kind of four countries I hang around in more, in the United Kingdom, in Germany and Poland, food is relatively cheap, at least compared to to Italy. So I mean, but the thing is what do you eat? And if you obviously if you're traveling, you want to try local things, possibly want to try local things out. I don't know, but if you want to try local things out, you'll probably be experimenting. You'll be going to restaurants and things like that. So that's going to cost more money. And on the other hand, if you're one of these people who just wants to eat whatever you've been brought up with, then carrying a stack of food from home might not be an option. And if you want to buy the stuff you're used to when you're in some other location, then that tends to cost far more money. So there is that one as well. So on the whole, to come back, I would say it's probably cheaper than renting a property, I think. But on the other hand, if, for example, you're a student, I've heard this said for students in the United States, what if I get a van and I'll just park it somewhere? Well, you're going to have to where you're going to get electricity from, because that might be a problem. Where in a day like today, I mean, looking up here now, my battery's at 13.4. I haven't charged it now, what, 2.5 weeks, and I've got the computer on all the time, just about. So and other things running, but you know, it's so. I would say it's rather difficult. Now, to come back, actually, the heating thing is what the object, I think, part of the object of living in a van is that it is you can move when it gets cold. And I mean, that was what I was thinking of when I started doing all this. So I move my van to a warmer location, and well, obviously that costs a bit of money, but it costs no one like it as much as it does to heat your home, for example. And you know, I move it to southern Italy. Okay, I need a little bit of heat, but nothing compared to what I need if I am in Northern Europe. Now, this year I was in Poland in the van during the winter, and that was because of the COVID situation. So, but normally I wouldn't have done that if I'd stayed. I'd either gone to somebody's house or I'd have gone where it is warmer. Right, so that was a question for somebody whose name I've forgotten now, but in the Netherlands. How much does it cost to live in a van? The answer is I don't know. And but they have given you some things to think about. Now, one thing you always have to do is to do a do a business plan. But of course, I used to be in business, and so this is the sort of thing I start thinking out and write down costs and flow charts of money. Right, so I'm going to try now and have a look at some of the questions you sent. So Yakishan asks when we'll get these types of motorhome in India. I honestly don't know why they're not in India, to be quite honest. I would have thought that somebody would have taken up the idea. There's so many people, it seems to me, in India want them. There's only one company that I know of manufacturing motorhomes or campervans, in fact, in India. Pinnacle is the name. And but I don't think they're manufacturing many anyway. There must be more than that. I would have thought it's so obvious to think to do with it. In Thailand, for example, there is a company manufacturing there. But yeah, to me, India seems like the most obvious place. Now, there could be a reason for importing it, because in India, I know from my own business experience, the duties are horrendous. And the paperwork is also that could be the reason why. But if you can buy things like, now I do actually watch YouTube people who film things in India, and so I do see foreign cars on the road. So I suspect that you can actually yeah, there must be a really good reason why in India, because India is surely I would have thought, the biggest now emerging market for motorhomes. That's my opinion anyway. And Clive asks how is it here? It's getting much better in the UK. Yes, indeed it is. But the as far as COVID's concerned, but let's face it, the UK did have it has the worst results in Europe. It's got the worst death figures. But at least it is now getting better. It's getting much better. So that's one thing. And Neville asks, why do we never see vans catering for dogs. Almost everyone I see carries one, but they never have any space for them. Yeah, but the thing is, there's a company in Germany called does a thing called Dogmobil. I think that's the name. And there are at least 3 companies actually manufacturing thing. Even Hymer also has options for dogs. And most of these things are, though, putting the dog in a sort of a cage of some description. Somebody wrote under one of the Dogmobil videos that this is really cruel, keeping these dogs in cages. And the thing is, I don't have enough experience. I've only, there's only one dog I've carried around, and so I mean, I don't know, but and she's really calm. I mean, she doesn't move around or anything. Oh no, sorry, just a minute. There's other dogs now coming back to me, but they've always been calm. Yeah, but I don't quite see what you can actually do for dogs other than sort of give them ramps to walk up, maybe build that into the van or something like that. It's true that, yeah, it's like dogs and bikes, and nearly everybody's got one. And I'd say, as far as dogs are concerned, certainly what, 50%, something like that, people in the van have a dog. So anyway, don't know what the answer is. But when I see this dog, in fact, what I want to do is, when I'm in the area of this Dogmobil place, it's in Germany, but I might even pass it next October. I'll see. I'll drop in and see if I can do something on there. Right, how much was my motorhome? Miles asks. Well, I can't really give you a cost, because it's just because most of it's been self-built, and so things have just been added on progressively to it. So I dare say I spent what, 20,000 euros on it, something like that. But it's yeah, that I wasn't keeping a record, having said all that stuff I said earlier about doing business plans. Right. So Clive asks, how do I survive? Oh, money-wise, sorry. And do you sell clothes, etc., or mugs and things? Right. There are a number of people on YouTube that have these merch, they call it. And this merchandise is organized by a company called Teespring. And if you have above a certain amount of, I think it's 10,000, it might be more, but I'm well within it, you can actually get them. You can buy mugs and t-shirts and key rings and bottle openers and things, and it would say something like name of your company. So I mean, I don't have the only brand I've got is me. And I've actually thought this, should I really try and come up with some better brand for myself? But the branding as such of anybody which is on YouTube, the way I see it, using this company Teespring, who are already charging quite a lot of money, it would make more sense to me as a person who at least has done this in the past. I mean, in a couple of the companies I worked in, we actually produced a uniform, and so knowing how to do it, that would make more sense. But I don't really want to do so, because the margin, they probably, I don't know what they do, 15%, 20%. So they sell something at, I don't know, $20 or something, and you get $4 for each sale of every t-shirt. I don't know if that's the right numbers, actually. It might be wrong. Or you actually decide how much you're going to sell it at. Possibly something like that. I don't really want to do that. If I'm going to offer something, I want to offer something which first of all, I believe in, and the second thing is I want to make sure that people get value for money. And if they're not getting value for money, then to be quite honest, I don't want to do it at all. It's just my sort of business mentality, is that you've got to offer, there's got to be a value added, something you're giving on top of what everything else is. And to suggest that somebody buys a t-shirt to help me out when they're really helping out this company, that really doesn't work for me. So as far as money wise is concerned, I don't do that. But obviously there's advertising revenues on the site. That's one thing. I've had one or two people do support on Patreon and all the rest of it, and I do other things as well. So I mean, I do get, I mean, I get offered work from time to time, but I mean, I got offered something actually was quite reasonably well-paid thing I was offered in Switzerland about 3 weeks ago, and the things I just decided I didn't want to do it. So I didn't really fancy being in some corporate situation again. So that didn't appeal to me. And if I'd done that, I mean, that would have been the end of doing this in any case. Right. Anyway, so I'm not selling any clothes, not selling any mugs. If I found a business which I would invest in doing something like that, then I would do it. But I was quite honest, I don't want to be in this business at all. So that's just how I see it. How much do I spend on fuel a month? Well, at the moment, I'm spending next to nothing. In fact, I've got the same fuel in my vehicle I had 7 months ago. And I last bought fuel in October, and that is a result of the lockdown and all the rest of it. Okay, let's go be a bit more realistic. I travel, let's say if I do 1,000 kilometers a month, and that's averaged out by a year, because there might be times when I do 1,000 kilometers just about in a day, and there are times when I do next to nothing. But let's say 1,000 kilometers a month is approximately 100 liters of fuel. At current prices, this is about 120 euros. So that would be an approximation, very much. So fuel actually is a minor thing. When I've heard people say, I mean, it's an unusual question, I've got to say, but with cars, you've got to say, at a car site, everybody say, how much does it run, how many miles per gallon does it do? And I mean, I had to post a video yesterday when I said something like but the fuel consumption, but I was just sort of, that was tongue in cheek. But the fuel consumption of a motorhome is not an issue, really, because if you're thinking about the fuel, and then you really shouldn't be doing this at all. That is a minor cost compared to other things. It is, in fact, I mean, obviously there's a difference between if you get 10 litres to 100 kilometers, what's that, 30 miles per gallon in the UK, I can't remember anyway. But there's some difference between, say, 10 litres to 100 rather than 20. And I think, well, yeah, I might. But really, as far as I'm concerned, fuel is not an issue. It's not an issue. I mean, at all. I wouldn't even consider it. Right. Greetings from the UK, says Chaz. Thank you very much. And thanks for Dogs Forever. Yes, thank you. And Jeff says he saw a video saying 4,000 caravans and motorhomes are stolen each year and only a few recovered. This is scary. Yes, it is. It would help, of course, if the police actually do something. They can't be bothered. So that is part of the problem. What you can do, I'm just going to show you. It's disappeared. Where's the tracker gone? The tracker's gone missing. I put it away. Sorry, I know where it is, but anyway, I have got in this vehicle, put a track. I've got 2 tracks. I've got this third one as well now, which is a tracker which is a non-rechargeable one, goes on for about 3 or 4 years or something, and then it depends how much you track it yourself. And yes, but you can put trackers in them, but I mean, and you've got to hide them, you've got to put them in places where no one's going to think of. So this is, I mean, everybody puts trackers in the same place, which is under the steering wheel, and so that's the first place the thieves look at. But then you have to put them in other places. I mean, there are ways actually to stop a tracker working, apparently, but it's not all that easy. But yeah, this is a major issue, and certainly insurance, for example, the cost of insuring a vehicle is something that you really do have to think about. And I've just said you don't have to think about the fuel, but the insurance is a major cost. And not only this, if you've got to bear in mind, I mean, there are vehicles now which they'll spread the cost over 12.5 years. So you buy a motorhome. I think LMC have something like this, for example. I'll be probably in the entire Hymer group. But if you're spreading it over that, they're going to put demands on you, and those demands are going to be things like you've got to insure it with this company or that company. And so that's it. I've got this is a brilliant anal beads. I think that is how it's pronounced. A brilliant question. How do you deal with mold? Well, If I find out the answer to this one, I shall certainly do a video of it. But the question is, how do I deal with it? Well, I try. That's how I do. I had major problems with mold. Now on the bed, I'll do a video of this. I've got it's a company called Shipshape Bedding in East Anglia in the UK, which produces this sort of I don't know quite to call it. It's like a mesh, and that goes under the mattress, and that is brilliant. Now the thing is, mold forms for a reason, and the reason is usually it gets damp. It gets damp because you've got things like your kitchen, and then you've got steam, or you got even from your body, and that hits a cold surface, and then that gets wet, and then it eventually it turns into mold. Now I had major problems with mold. I found that out when we took the van to pieces 4 years ago, and so the answer is I make jokes about this on the videos about opening the doors and windows when it says this on that when you do the cooking. But you know, there's a lot of truth to that. Is that the cooking inside the van? Now, bear in mind how much a little space you've got here compared to a kitchen. You've got a kitchen at home, so you've got ventilators, you've got windows, you've got all this stuff. You've got and you use them, but with a van, because it's difficult to keep it warm, then you don't want to do it. And so this creates mold. And not only that, because even if you turn the gas on, that is itself putting water into it sounds a bit illogical, but it's putting water into the van through steam, and then that's why when you turn the gas on, your windows get all steamed up. So the answer with mold is, I'll do a video on this. Again, I already have one actually on this Shipshape Bedding. It really has helped me, because before this, what I would do is periodically I'd lift up the mattress and I'd just sort of clean everything. But I don't think that is I don't think that's the answer. And you know, if you just trying to sort of allow everything to breathe, to air, you know, every day, I suppose that's one answer. But I mean, it's not really very realistic. So that's the way. Okay, and Jeff, Jeff taking this, yes, Jeff's asked for some thumbs up. Thank you very much. I think that helps. I don't know if it does or it doesn't, but I think it does. The question about mold is a really very, very good one. I have had this in every single van. There's been mold. One way that I might have caught it very, very early, but it's been there. And oh, another thing to do with mold, incidentally. I'll just put it away as well. I didn't think of the second showing. I bought from one of the DIY Castorama, or one of these places. Can't remember who it was, but anyway, I bought something there that sort of sucks the water vapor out of the atmosphere, and you put a little filter in it, and it then it works like that. There is another thing about this is, I've noticed with electric heating, it's dry, and it keeps it in a certain, completely different to when you use gas. I even the blown air heating, I feel with it's not the same as the electric, in my opinion. Or diesel is actually, as I say, electric's number one, diesel's number two, and finally I put the gas. That's just my personal opinion. There may be other people disagree with it. Sorry, dehumidifier, that's the word I was looking for. And yes, I use a dehumidifier. You can, the one I've got here cost about, bought in the UK, I think about £10 or something. It wasn't, you know, not a lot, but I mean, you can buy these dehumidifiers for several £100s, and that will take well, probably take far more out of the than it needs to be taken out. Great. So yeah, some good questions there, and so thanks for that. Now I'm going to try and do this on a I'm trying to do this on a weekly basis. It could be that I'm out somewhere and I can't actually do it, so then I won't. I won't. But as far as I can, I'll try and do a Saturday at this time. That's 1700 hours here, Central European time, 1600 in the UK, and I do it for the moment. I'm in Poland. I've got my second shot next week and a second jab next week. Sorry, the week after next, second jab, AstraZeneca, and then I hope I might be able to be doing some traveling around a bit. Okay, thanks very much for watching, and I've got this evening. This video is I think it's a Carthago van which can carry 7 people, I think. Okay, thanks and all the best from me. Bye. Thanks, Jeff.